we've got enough here.
It is really fast. Since 6 o'clock, it should not even pass about there.
Yeah, that's say 6:30.
It's actually 6 o'clock.
You're live.
Okay, we are live on YouTube, so thank you, Kathy, for that. And we will call our meeting to order. This is the Dunbar Finance Committee City Council meeting, September the 8th, 2020 at 6 o'clock. So we call our meeting to order. Again, just a reminder for anyone watching now or in archive, City Hall is closed for these meetings to the public, but all city council members are here except for Greg. Is that correct? He had medical procedure, and Connie Thompson. She's on her way, so she should be here in just a few moments. And again, the way this is set up, each council member can ask a question or provide some input, but any votes in this meeting is only by the Finance Committee, which is Jim Hughes and Connie Thompson while she arrives, myself, Greg Hudson, and Steve Martin. And we also, of course, have the mayor and the clerk here and a few department heads. We've got a few missing. We'll start. And again, we have our minutes from our last meeting, August 17th, 2020, finance meeting. So you've had a chance to review those over the weekend. Any questions, comments, or corrections on the minutes from August 17th, 2020 finance meeting? Okay, hearing no corrections or comments or questions, we have a motion to approve the minutes from August 17, 2020 finance meeting.
Make a motion, we approve August 17, 2020 Finance Committee meeting minutes.
Jim Hughes has made the motion. Do we have a second? Steve Martin seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Just a point, we do have a quorum here, even without Connie until she comes, but once she comes, we'll make a note of her presence. Our invoices, the total is $96,753.72. And a couple items, or one item down below that we'll come to, the one Deacon payment is in that total. Also, the previous approvals for the senior center downstairs, $34,875 is in that total. And then also the previous approval for G Block, $14,500 is that. We'll start going line by line now with Jim Hughes and see if you have any questions for any department heads about any in particular invoice. We'll start with Jim.
One of my questions was about Jim Block finishing up over the police station. Notice they've already turned their invoice. Satisfied with?
I have not done a final one yet. Last time I was over there, they were getting ready to do the taping and trim the door out. I haven't had a chance to get back. That was late last week. I'm going to run over this week. If they have turned final in, I don't know if Connie's submitted for payment for strong yet or not.
So once you get the final, then we'll release payment in the draft.
Yeah,
We've got the check, it's going to wheel.
let me check it tomorrow before we send
Before
it
you
out.
release it.
Okay.
Yeah, everything I had seen over there was, they did very good work. It makes the building look a lot nicer.
Second question I had, I guess these got put up was, I know we're paying for internet service now out at the wine cellar. And do we have a camera system and stuff up out there now?
Pardon?
At the wine cellar park, cameras?
Cameras out there.
I know they're working on it, but they should be up pretty soon.
Okay. So just as a camera system, the reason I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what that's gonna be for out there, correct?
Correct.
That was really the only one I had.
Okay. Good. Steve?
Yeah, I had one question I had. Yeah. It was on the water bill. And I think it's for the recreation. Yeah, it's on page 1 or 2, on the back. It's 1 or 2, down near the bottom of the recreation department. It's $500. Is that the normal bill?
Well, you have to remember, that's city park, wine cellar, city building, house.
It just jumped out at me.
It's all together.
Yeah, I didn't go back and look to see if that's normal or not, but it just jumped out at me. But if that's normal, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but that is all,
That's fine.
5 or 6 pieces of property.
Procedurally, it shall be all of our water is all correct.
Yeah.
Can tell, yes, is that a yes or no?
That is a no. We have water that goes to the pump house, but it only gets turned on when we have to put water in the pool to get it to us level. But that's over with now.
Yeah, that's a bill for $275.
Well, that's the minimum bill. But we'll take that and put it into winter mode and have it shut off for the winter, so we won't pay that bill after next month.
Say that huge leak, but it's not ours.
No, that's how we're out 25.
Yeah. Well, there's one on the county side also, but that's theirs too, not ours. Anything else, Steve?
No, that's all I did.
Okay, we'll go, Connie's not here yet, but we'll go around to other council members, see if any other council members have a question. Again, these were pretty routine, other than those few large items. Some of our utilities are backhoe, dump truck lease, those type things.
I got Connie on it for.
Okay. Can't wait to see if she has any questions.
Voicemail on 304.
Okay. Well, with those questions asked and answered, we have our invoice total of $96,753.72. So we need a motion to send this to full council for approval.
I make motion, we send $96,753.72 for council for approval.
Jim Hughes has made the motion, Steve Martin's made the second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Clerk's report. We have a few things. Clerk has for us. First of all, we have our statement of accounts from West Virginia. So we'll go through those and then we'll go over to United Bank in our short budget. So Connie, we'll start with those statement of accounts. You want to itemize each one of those, any highlights on the state of West Virginia investments.
While she's getting that, I just got a message from Buzz. There's 2 cameras that's up and operational, and we're getting power up to the 3rd camera.
That's at one cell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I think I put mine in my package.
The first one is our money market, which is just a regular one, the 520,000, and that's it's primarily holding tank for municipal fees and things, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That had a gain of 19,357 cents for deposits and small interest. Second is short-term bond pool, 289,000. Refresh us on what that accounts for.
Which what you call it?
It's listed as the short-term bond pool.
That's probably one of our, one of our rainy day funds.
Yeah, it gained $837.48 in interest, but no deposits, just interest. Then we have our other money market. This, I think it's the other half of the rainy day. It's the 220.105.
Right.
It's the same thing, $48 interest gain. So between the two, we've got right at $500,000. Then the fireman's extra fund, where we're putting some extra funds in it, it gained $1,552.08. That was $1,540 deposit from us with the
That's from the.
Datamax.
Yeah.
Datamax, and then $11.83 in interest for a total $54,495.64. So just let you guys know that's separate from. We'll come later to the whole pension plan. This is just that extra where we're collecting all of the late fees. Anything else on those on the state investments?
No.
And
then this evening, I'll give you a short budget for,
so go ahead and start on that, please, while I get mine
I'll
out.
give you a short budget for, at the end of July, at the end of August. So that's updated. The other ones that we have not finished reconciling some of the other bank accounts to give us the other short reports. Which pretty much everything's, 2 months, we haven't really dug into things yet a lot. So
Looks like most
it
are right
must
about
be like
15%.
16%, 17%. 2018.
Says through August.
This is through August, yes.
First 2 months. So we should be, as the mayor mentioned, 18%. Most departments are 15, 17.
Yeah.
Other than a few things that are front loaded where you pay upfront fees, and that's totally normal. Or quarterly fees like our insurance and the library funds, those we pay 3 months in advance. Anything else you want to highlight on the short budget?
And then, of course, our license, that's always due first July and August, so most of that comes in at this period too, as far as revenues.
And you have our United Bank account.
Yes, and then I give you a United Bank statement, not statement of what's in the bank. So,
And that was as of Friday, or Thursday or Friday or something.
as of about 4 o'clock today.
Okay. Any questions for the clerk on these 3 different reports? Again, just a reminder that United Bank, again, it's public information. If any citizen asks the dollar amounts, we just always make sure you don't give it out because the digits are permanent marker, but there's some people who can figure those out too. So if somebody asks you, feel free to share it because it is their money. We just don't share those 4 digits at all. Thank you, clerk. Anything else? We'll drop down to ordinance and resolution 5 and 8. This was the budget adjustment we talked about at our last meeting. Just to refresh everyone's memory, last fiscal year, Little League, we approved the $2,285 per project they were doing, and then COVID hit. And so they didn't get to do it, we didn't get to pay it. Yeah, so we discussed that we would, then the budget coming into this year was $3,000 for that line item. We discussed we would add that $2,285 to it to make it $5,285, and that ended up being the yellow top of the fencing on the field. But that way it wouldn't penalize if you wouldn't use up most of this year's budget on something from last year. So this is simply getting all that corrected and in line. There were several categories we had to do that too because of COVID. This is not the only one.
Yeah, if you look, that was taken out as far as, so now putting that $2,285 back in, we'll bring it back up to $3,000 per year.
That was our goal, so that there would be some left for, Little League has got some, but that would leave some for, if they request any ball, we got football league, those type of things. And there are still expenses with those, it's up to them to submit it, but they, even though they're not, Little League is playing, but I know the football league has bills because they just turned in some things right when COVID hit, and they can't do a fundraiser. We don't know yet what it's going to be with basketball. We're all waiting to find out. Well, side note, how do you get 12,000 fans to Huntington? That's okay, but you can't even play a game at home, but that's another story. But, so this is a correction of that, $2,285. Any questions for the clerk? Again, it's just simply adjustment. So we have that before us. No more questions. We have a motion to send to full council where it'll be a roll call vote there to make that budget adjustment. Motion to send to full council.
Make a motion to send it to the council.
Motion to second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. We move down to number 7, new business. You see there, transfer $6,450.12. Again, just refresh your memory on this as well. Jim Brown had raised this, I think it was 2017 when Connie on that check.
Yes.
It was put into the bank, and Jim raised the question, and Connie researched it. Connie Faulkner, this Connie, and so we got the exact amount, and we want to transfer that. If we approve, we'll transfer it to the capital fund. That way it is separate. It's still there whenever we get to that project, so that gets spent on lights and whatever else. Any questions about that? Again, $6,450.12 raised to someday put towards the Laura Anderson Lake road construction.
I would suggest that we put it in one of the state treasurer's funds and call it Laura Anderson Road or Laura Anderson Lake, or And that way it's there in one of those funds, if anybody wants to donate to it, we can put it in there and it'll be on interest and won't get lost.
It'll be an entirely separate fund.
Yes, we'll put them just like the police pension, we'll just name this one, give it a name and.
Counselor, as long as we approve moving that money out, we don't have to come back and approve that exact account, but as long as the clerk takes care of it. So that's what we're due tonight. If you're all in agreement, is to approve this transfer out, and the clerk can take care of setting up a separate account for that, so that it's, if somebody wants to get to it in the future as well. Any other questions for clerk or about this? Any other council members? Questions?
Well, he was doing a donation online for, to get the road paved.
He was hoping to raise.
A lot of money,
Yeah,
yeah.
About $130,000.
Yeah.
I think it was.
he thought he was gonna raise it.
So it's one of those things I think we forgot until he wrote, and to Jim's credit, he brought it to my attention a couple weeks ago and asked, what happened to that money? So we did probably research it out for us. Yeah. And Jim's watching, or will be, if he's not live, he'll be watching after bed, so. And we have a motion then to approve this, send to full council the recommendation of a transfer of that money, 645012, to a separate account, so it is in its own freestanding place.
I make a motion that we transfer the $6,450.12 from the money raised with Jim Brown, paving floor installation to a separate fund, the state investment fund.
So we have a motion, Jim Hughes, we have a second. Steve Arnold, second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The next one is B. Yeah, it sounds like Connie coming in, did Jason?
I think it was not leaving.
We'll stall just a second in case it is. Okay. It's not her yet, so we'll move on though. This is bids for Stevens Drive. And that's Ward 4, Lower Midway to Autumn to Stevens. So you get there and you go straight up the hill. Hopefully you had a chance to go look at it. It is a very bad situation. And we had, Mayor, your letter mentioned 3 bids. The packet had 2. It's all the same company, 3 different breakdowns.
It has 3 separate breakdowns in it. One for 141,000, one for 128, one for 122. It's a 2-page proposal. I contacted the West Virginia State Contractors Association, and we were lucky to, it's listed under, what is it, land?
Yeah, like core builders, and you're correct. The first page has 2,
Then the second page.
has a 3rd, and goes into the 4th page to finish it. So option 3 is the one you were recommending.
Yes, I got the pages wrong.
I think it's,
I guess that was me.
it's called option 3. It's not the,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not the
option,
highest.
option 3 is the pages are all out of order.
It's one that's got green
The
under
second-
the road.
Yes. 6-inch concrete, 6-inch base under, and 6-inch drain under the base is the one you're recommending.
Yes. As I said, I've contacted Mike Clouser, a good friend of mine, with the Contractors Association. He blasted it out to all their contractors. This is the only contractor that responded. We called everybody that we've gotten a name from. You stop on the side of the road and talk to everybody. You can see the little concrete anytime. This is the only response that we had. We advertised it in the paper. So I just don't think we can afford to waste much more time trying to get somebody to bid on a job. If they don't want to bid, they don't want to bid. I think this job needs to get underway. It's going to be very complicated. stretch it out too long, we might have weather issues prevent us from getting it finished out, so.
Did they give a time frame on this?
They haven't yet. They seem like they can get on pretty quick if we needed them to. And like the mayor said, I had two guys who were supposed to call me today and come up and look at it. I heard hiding hair, you know, these are $100,000+ jobs. I don't know why they wouldn't be jumping all over. No, the guys we talked to, that I talked to up there, they were pretty responsive to everything. I asked for, you know, a couple of different variations of what we had suggested. They do this kind of work, they build roads, so they know what they're doing. They have an actual concrete engineer on their staff. So, pretty knowledgeable folks.
Or we're gonna do about the residents getting up and down through their.
Well, the road's only 12 feet wide. There's not a whole lot we can do.
Yeah,
I mean,
They're gonna have to walk up and down.
that's pretty much it. They're gonna do it 2 different sections. They'll do the upper first and then the lower. They're gonna use Type K cement, which you can drive on in 3 days.
so they're using fiber, everything else.
They were gonna use hard fiber.
Yes.
So,
The people that live at the very top of the hill can drive around the long way up Upper Midway around the Farmingdale and park up there and walk across that slope and down to their house if they choose to do that, or they'll have to hook it up to hill. I mean, there's absolutely no way to,
you can't get it. The road's only 12 feet
I'm
wide.
sure they're excited about just getting it fixed, if they don't mind.
Have most problem.
Jim, that's your all's work. How many, I mean, I've been up there, it's about 6 to 8 houses.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
Steve Road very top, which, like you said, that way they can enter from up on top of the hill. That's
So for those watching, just to review, then we'll come back to the recommendation where we have one contractor, even though many were contacted, one contractor, Lane Corps, and they gave 3 different proposals. And the first option is 12 to 6-inch base. These all include removal, correct? All the old concrete?
Yes.
Okay. So after removal, a base of 6 inches, and then 12 inches of concrete, that was option 1. And that was 100, their bids for that is 122 and change.
141, 764. That's what they
For
do.
12 inch.
Okay, that's right. I'm getting my pages mixed up also.
Well, it's easy to do.
So that was 141, 764. Then the other was 6 inches of concrete, 6-inch base. That's the 122, right?
205.
Okay. And then the one that's recommended to us from the mayor, the building inspector, is 6 inches of concrete, 6-inch base, but with also a 6-inch perforated drain underneath to shed water out of there. And that's 128, 750. So
That's the problem with the road. We have so much groundwater on these hills, it gets underneath everything and freezes and thaws and just starts breaking. Everything will be put back to DOH specs for road base and everything.
And then Ward 4 has all kinds of water and road issues. So again, that's $128,750. So any more questions? Any comment? Well, any questions you have also on this? It's Stevens Drive, Ward 4. I couldn't tell you. Okay. It's always hard to tell what we're saying. Any other, Linda?
No.
Jim?
I'm good with it.
Steve? Doug? Good. So we're all in agreement then to proceed, if we pass this, with option 3. I got that number right now. Option 3, the $128,750. So we have it ready if someone has a motion.
I make a motion that we send full council $128,750 for road repairs, replace the whole road on Stevens Road by Lane Corps builders as proposed.
Yes, we have a motion. Jim Hughes, do we have a second?
Second.
Go ahead.
Before the final vote, I want to clarify something.
Connie Thompson has a second, and we'll take time for Thomas.
Stevens goes up and then breaks to the right. This only goes up to where it breaks to the right. It does not include that all the way.
That's K Drive.
That's K, yes,
Which is just one house, right? I mean,
yes. There may be two, there's two,
two, okay.
but that does not include, that's something that is repairable after Stevens is done. But, the way this is set, and this isn't just drive the concrete up there and dump the concrete. This is get a pump truck, drive concrete up, pump the stuff up the hill. It's a massive undertaking.
Yeah, if anybody watching, it's not been there, just drive up there. Put a
Just
low
walk
gear.
up it.
Yeah, well, I need low gear to get up and back. Any other comments? Just a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. I'm sure they'll be tickled. And again, it's just a stark reminder to us that more and more some of the cost to those problems up there from, and it's all, 90% it's all water related and you want everything up here.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Lots of underground.
We have, police chief is here now as well. We come to 7C, which is a letter of intent from Kanawha County Commission for a public safety grant of $10,000. So chief, you want to share with us about I think we have the notes on it, but share your intent for that grant, please.
That's a grant we've annually received over the years. Talked to the mayor about it, and told him some things we'd like to have, and asked our Blue West Council, whatever, safety committee. We had that meeting. Had input into it. We decided to upgrade the computers on the station. And the proposal we would have and we'd submit would be all new computers for the station, 3 MDTs, mobile terminals for cars, and that would leave like $9 to upgrade that. I know in the proposal before you, it says something about the station phones. I don't think $9 is going to get some of the station.
I've heard from the chief. And any other questions about this? And again, we thank the Kanawha County Commission for this as well. But any questions for the police chief about this grant and its use upon receiving? We have a motion to recommend full council that we accept this letter of intent.
I make a motion that we accept the letter of intent for the Kanawha County Commission Public Safety Grant Funds to upgrade the computer and 3 MDTs for the police station.
Second.
It's got a motion and a second, and as Connie Thompson made the motion, mentioned it is for computer and MDTs instead of telephone. And Jim, you second. Any other final questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Thank you, chief.
Yes, sir.
We got here just in time. D, 7D, we're back to One Beacon. Again, that's our former insurance company, but these are still legal matters to be resolved with each with a $25,000 deductible. We approved that in the whole on the $95,000 or $96,000 in invoices, but you have it broken down in your itemized statement as well. Again, we cannot share the names on this, but any questions for the mayor, the clerk, or our city attorney about these cases, and again, the co-pays involved as we work through this.
I think we can share the names if somebody would ask. Said, I think we can share the names if somebody asks, right? I mean, it's a matter of public record.
Well, any suits matter public record.
Okay. Still wants to wait in or something. We
Now,
read it.
the suit hasn't been taught, maybe it's probably not quite appropriate to the way name of suit has public record.
So any questions for the mayor, clerk, or Steve Swisher, or council? And these are just co-pays towards the $25,000 for each. That was 5 cases. Here are no questions. We have a motion to recommend this. Again, it's included in our invoices, but it's itemized since it's a large amount, so we have a motion.
Make a motion to be sent before council $4,157.23 for the payment from One Beacon Act for the 511 notifications.
So Jim Hughes made a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Connie Thompson is second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. And then mayor's provided us with some sketches and bid information for six new signs, so I'll let Mayor share more about that again for the total of $4,800.
Thank you, having your packet. It's the same time that we looked at historically. I think it's time that the anniversary roll around, to get our signage cleaned up in the city. And so I would recommend these are 4 feet wide, 3 feet tall. High density polyethylene engraved sign. So we can either get it with a black background with white letters, or white background with black letters, whichever council recommends. And I think I gave you a list of the locations for them, so pretty well covers all the entrances into the city. Find tunes where we actually put those locations.
Good question. Did you consider the interstate exits?
One of them is, okay, the 10th Street exit, if you're going westbound to get off, there is a very big, huge sign that the ladies from the women's club pretty well take care of. That one would stay the way it is. One would go at the westbound exit up Ross Lane on the north side of the bridge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I read it. I didn't think it was. Okay.
Any other questions? Any other questions for Mayor or anyone about this?
We just have to make a decision. Black background, white letters, or white background, black letters.
And put on color.
Other combination.
The input to the mayor on the color of the sign. You want white with black or black with white?
I like black and white. Must be, yeah, white and black. It has a tendency to get dark with whiteness.
Like Thompson's mentioned that, and again, this is not a controversial thing, just state your opinion, which one you like.
I like white background with black letters. It's easier to read.
White background, the other half of the council.
Black. Well, I'm like Tanya, white can get really dirty.
I'll go white as long as we promise to keep it clean.
Yeah.
I can't handle dark.
Steve said both.
Is it tied?
It's about there.
I kind of like the black and white letters.
Thank you, sir.
3:30 outside.
There you go, Mayor. No, we got 2 more.
The other Greg's not here. And I'm comfortable either way. The black probably would be a bold look though with the white letter contrast. I know with the video, like PowerPoints and things, we've learned in all this code, since we're all on video constantly in our churches, you have a black screen with white letter, it's far easier to catch than the reverse process for the human eye. So that's my 2 cents on it.
You become quite the expert.
I think most everybody is suddenly stuck on video all their life has to figure that out. COVID has changed our lives.
So what is it?
So we want to just go through it again. We've all given our opinion on it. So it just kind of straw vote, because the big thing is we've proven it the money, just a straw poll on the colors. Mike?
I really don't have.
Black, and you were very avid, black.
Yes.
Black, and I'm comfortable with either, but I think black would be a contrast.
I go with black and white letters.
I like white.
White and black.
You're still black background. So it looks like the majority on that would be black background with the white letters. And the invoice is $4,800. What kind of turnaround time there?
I'll have to, with COVID-19,
Okay.
see how they play out. Now, I guess you need to take a motion.
Yeah, that's Kirby Built, is that correct? Kirby Built is the name. Okay. So we've had our discussion now. We have a motion that sends to full council for these 6 signs. When you're drawing $4,800 with black background, white letters.
I make a motion to Purchase 6 City of Dunbar Section 1921 signs from Kirby Built Signs in the amount of not to exceed $4,800.
I second.
Tony Thompson has made a motion, Jim Hughes the second. Any other final comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Thank you.
The only thing I'd like to note after we did all that is if you look at the pricing, the sign posts are almost as low as the signs now. The reason being is they have special installation brackets built into the signs mounted. I mean, we maybe once said in fact that there's a carrier or something this way, you know,
That's a pretty good price though, I think, for 6
It only
signs.
happens once every 100 years.
All right, we'll jump down to 7F, our annual fire and police pension fund report. So we'll go over that quickly. The police one, this one has been very stable because it was the low hanging fruit. It was tackled about under the Edgar administration, so it's been, what, 10 years, Scott, from your all's department, or back when you were police. And it's very stable. Just, we've all got the data just for a video. Coming into the last fiscal year, it had $6,394,000 and change in it. And after the year was done with the investments, we as a city are going down on our contributions because it's very stable now. And at the end of the year, it had $6,634,000 and change. So an increase after paying the benefits. It paid $432,808.73 in retirement benefits, plus someone withdrew. Assume that was probably a transfer or something. It was withdrawal.
Officer Hudson, whenever he left the department, transferred to the state of West Virginia.
So there was a one-time transfer out to $30,000. But even with those in, the police pension still increased to $240,111. And that's for the older officers that are in this. And all the new officers are at the MERS, is that right?
First, yes.
Okay, non-union MERS, okay. And so, so that is very stable, in good shape. Any questions about that? Again, it's solid. Any question for this committee or for Scott as he represents that pension fund? We'll move over to the, just for review before we do a motion to the fire. The fire, we need to understand this one is in multiple reports because of the adjustments we made in this past year. Your first one is a total asset. So it includes the accumulated account and the benefit accounts. Because we remember in this year, after a lot of work, and again, the other had been kicked down the road, probably 30 years now, to try to tackle this one. And so, more than that. And so this past year, or previous couple of years, we've worked hard on this. And so it's been restructured. And so there is the original account is now closed. There's still the actual firemen that are working, a portion of their funds go in it. And then the state makes a contribution to it and it accumulates interest. But now the city contribution goes to the new benefit payment accounts, along with some state funds to that as well. And if you read your report, you see reflected where we're adding $200,000 a year into it. So just a few years ago, this whole fund was just in a few $100,000, and with $13.5 million unfunded liability. If you read through your notes this year, it ended both funds combined at $1.5 million, an increase of $500,000 over last year, and that's after paying out the benefits to the retirees. And I think there was one withdrawal from a small withdrawal, about $6,000 for an employee that left employment. So this is the hard work we've done, and even a few criticisms from the citizens. Apologize for that, but it's paid off. I mean, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's not solved, but at least there's light. It's not the train. You see a split down then, of course, to your accumulated account. If you break that down, that has now right at $1 million in it, or actually 1.1 million. And that was total just a few $100,000 a few years ago. And then you see separate from that is our benefit account, which started at zero because it was new. And after we paid all of our benefits out, ended at $376,802. So a lot of work has went into that, and a lot of thanks to the mayor, and he and I went to many meetings, worked, and then all of you on council worked with us. The clerk did a lot of paperwork. And then, what's the guy from the state?
Blair.
Blair. I forgot his last name. Blair Taylor, he worked with us a lot as well. So any questions on this? Again, there's a lot of data. There were 2 accounts, but any questions on it? We've got firemen here, retired firemen. Is that a question? Okay, I'll let you raise your hand. Okay. Any other questions?
The important thing to realize is that that $376,000 is grown in a pretty short period of time. We're making the payments that we would normally pay into, plus the money that's collected from the firemen. Municipal fee that goes out, and then the state contributes a substantial amount of money each year. So if everything holds true, that fund should see a positive growth of about $150,000 to $190,000 over the next couple of years, so that when we get into the really heavy payout years down the road, that number will keep growing, and we won't have to raise the municipal fees and rob from other department accounts in order to stay up with it. So I think it's showing right now that it is going in a positive direction.
And it's allowing the closed fund to start going like the police closed fund has done for years, to start actually gaining interest, because it was every dollar we put into that fund was immediately going right back out. It would be in there 20 days at the most. And so it's never gaining interest, and this way that money is locked at 1.1 million and it start gaining interest as well. So about, we project was in 2035 or 45 when that one will get up. 2035 on it. So, again, this is not resolved, but at least there's been a lot of progress, and all of you on council appreciate working on that, because it's, again, as Councilman Scipio and Councilman Flesh said, nobody in the past wanted to deal with this.
Yeah, we went through 6 administrations that wouldn't touch it, and they would not listen to anybody. We kept calling the firefighters. How many of them would actually plan on staying there until retirement? We kept giving that number to the city, and they never would address it, so, until this administration.
So thank you to you, and for your hard work. And again, we don't want to go celebrating too greatly, because we never know the future, but at least we're on the right track now. So, any questions from the fire department side? Okay. We have a motion then to approve it. Again, this is just approving the report from the state, showing where we stand. We're not changing anything. It's just approving their report, that we've reviewed it and see where we stand financially in the police and fire.
I make a motion that we accept the presentation and approval of the annual report to be filed with the municipal pension oversight board for the firemen's and policemen's pension fund.
Connie Thompson's made a motion.
I second it.
Jimmy uses second. Any other questions, final? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Thank you. G, 7G, Republic Services. If you read that, it's $40.51 a ton. Clerk, help me out. I forgot what is that the exact same as this year, or is it a little change?
I think it's the same.
Okay. I couldn't remember exactly now. So you see another year contract in our landfills, $31.76, and then your taxes, $40.51. Any questions? We have a motion. Again, it's just it's just an approval we have to do to keep taking our trash to landfill. We have a motion.
I make a motion, we renew the annual contract with Republic Service for landfill dumping.
So Jay Hughes has made a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Again, it was Republic Services, $40.51 a ton. Scott, that's both landfills under the same ownership now, correct? Charleston and Sycamore. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. And then the CARES Fund Act, you see that? What we'll do, I'll let the mayor and clerk first talk about this, and then we'll come back and we'll take some action on how to deposit that money. Yeah, that's H, what did I say? Sorry. Yeah, 7H CARES Act.
No, they just, police department.
But that's on the full council. That's full council. Yeah, you're correct on full council. On finance, H is CARES Act. So go ahead, Mayor or Clerk, whichever.
I just put it on the agenda, to see what, if there's anything we would like to do with that money so that it don't get lost, or do we set up a fund for another state fund and put it in?
She's posed that question. I have opinions, but you all share yours as well.
Bill, what's your suggestion?
Okay. I think we need to move it, honestly, move it out of the general fund. What it's doing is making it look like our general fund is more solvent than what it really is. And if we're not careful, we'll start looking at that money as money that we can dump real fast and do things with. So I think it's not earning any interest right now. It's not in our budget. It's not earning any interest sitting in the checking in the general fund. So I think the prudent thing to do would be to move it over into the state investment pool. And we can draw it out any day we want. I mean, if we put it in tomorrow, we want to take it out the next day, whatever we want to do, we can put it in and take it out as we see fit. So I think that keeps it from clouding the general fund revenue side too much. Just transplant.
And if we spend on anything,
Pardon?
if we spend on anything,
Well,
Legally or wisdom? Legally, you're asking the legal question first, correct?
I mean, can we spend it on this thing? Good.
I
But
think
we
we
want to spend it on our first responders,
there's nothing that says where we have to spend it.
Wisdom question is, how do we spend it so it's not lost to waste of it? But the legal question.
I'm just asking if we can spend it on different things.
I understand.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, like I was just gonna say, like the Stevens Drive thing is 130,000. If we need to, we'll use that fund.
Well, right now, we've got money set aside in road construction to cover that.
What, but I'm saying, like Stevens is not the only road in Ward 4.
Yeah, there's several places.
Florida Drive, whatever, Steel Street, whatever up there in Florida.
We
We'd be able to pull that out. If
we have 3 significant landslides
Right.
that are going to have to be addressed within the next year or 2 years. So I think the prudent thing to do is keep that money squirreled away, so when it gets to the point that it's critically necessary to do it, that we can move with all due diligence, knowing that we've got the money to do it, as opposed to start clearing money away, knowing that we got this big problem.
So far, because the pictures have been posted, so far we've got in about 480 roughly. 480, we've got preliminary approval for another amount to bring it up to 907. We don't know how much it'll be, but either way you slice it, as the mayor clerk mentioned, it's a wonderful blessing, but it's a one-time shot. So as the mayor is saying, we got to keep in mind it's a one-time shot so that we only use it on capital type things. Don't want to be like in the 1990s, the police chief and Scott have were, remember those days when the federal government gave grants to hire new officers. Everybody put payroll, and then after 2 years, the grant money was gone. And then the cities had to lay them off, so we got to keep that in mind. If you use this on other things that last more than a year, you're stuck, because this is
Actually, under federal statute, you can't lay them off.
Well, that's the cities, they got in a bind back in the 1990s. That was,
Once you hired them under that grant,
Yep.
you had to keep them, and you just put somebody else left.
What was that program, Cash for Cops or Cops for Kids? Or it was a huge mistake. The reason I bring this example just to remind us, this is money we need to think about one-time shots, because it's one-time money.
About 4 years since we had one of the guys we got did.
Any other questions about it? Again, the recommendation from the mayor and clerk is that we look to transfer this money to the state account, make its own account, so it is separate and not frittered away, or whatever terms we use. Any other questions? I think we're all in agreement on that, so let's just have a motion to send to full council that recommendation.
I make a motion to send to full council the suggestion of setting the CARES grant money into a separate account for future use for future use.
The second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Thank you all for
We're
that.
talking about 100%.
For now.
Yeah, until we would have a decision later on what to do with it. Anything else related to finances in the city of Dunbar? Mayor, anything else you have?
I don't think so. Everything is going along pretty good. The department heads and countering cancer are spending more money again. I think everything's going well. If you look at the budget, all the departments are under expenditure. Our revenue is pretty stable except for the tax and the property taxes and utility taxes, and everything else, if you look at your short budget, is tracking very good. So financially, we're in real good shape right now. Hope and pray that we don't have a big onslaught of COVID-19 November, December, or someplace. It really feels a bad look.
Would it be time, you think, for us to get back on the agenda looking at, because we had built in the budget a small pay raise, but we put it on pause because of COVID, waiting for time. You think it's time for us to put it on the agenda for us to come back and look at it now? Or the small pay raise we built into the budget?
Well, I think, what do you think, Connie? I think Connie and I have talked about it, and the numbers are looking very good, right? So I would say we should go ahead and, if not the next meeting after.
So that's kind of the same timeline you had presented to the two unions as well, we'd try to review around September. Is that correct, Connie?
That was September. And it was going on, then was talked about it.
Because, none of us know the future, but we've got to go ahead and keep moving forward now. So. Anything else related to finances or any questions to the mayor about what we just talked about? Thank you all for your time. We have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a second? Second. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Connie.
You're fine.
I
Have we learned more about the SPIRE thing?
Thank you, Kathy.
Did the SPIRE thing get put on hold because of COVID? The SPIRE